Start listening to what the community is telling you. Housing, healthcare, and hope. There's your message. Housing, healthcare, and hope. That's the Latino agenda. Start defining it in those terms. Housing, healthcare, and hope.
Woo! Housing, healthcare, and hope. If you hear Ruben Gallego say that next week, I'm not sending you an invoice.
That's it. It's the aspirational working class agenda is what's going to galvanize Latinos to start moving. The Hispanic agenda is housing, healthcare, and hope.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Latino Vote Podcast, coming from you from a snowed-in, iced-in. There's still ice on the damn road in Madrid. There ain't there's not a darn snowplow in sight in Washington, D.C. The snow's been on the ground here for a month.
You can tell you're not on CNN and you're dropping F-bombs like that.
It's because I'm pissed.
I know you are. And I'll tell you what, I was in your lovely town a couple days ago and it was frozen solid. I forgot as a Mexican kid from the Southwest how cold mid-Atlantic winters are. And look, I used to go to school with a bunch of kids who'd be like, oh, I'm from Michigan. I'm from New England. This is nothing. I'm like, oh, yeah, that is something. Mexicans don't belong out there in that kind of weather.
There's a new term here in D.C. and it's called snowcrete. Like concrete, but snowcrete.
Yeah.
So for all of you girls and boys at home, what happened was it snowed 6 inches and then it rained 2 inches and then it froze. So on top of the snow, there's literally a shell of ice.
Yeah.
And then it got cold and it hadn't been above freezing.
Yeah.
And there's no snowplows in D.C.
It turns into a big brick of ice.
It is
literally
horrible.
A brick. Yeah, don't slip and fall on that stuff too, because look, Latinos, we're tropical and a desert people. We don't belong in that kind of climate. So good for you for being a pioneer out there. But 24 hours was enough. I am back in California where it is nice and sunny.
Ooh.
And I know you would rather
smells
be
bad.
Here.
It smells bad in Sacramento, but I'd rather be there.
You'd rather be here right now. You would.
Let me say one thing that's really chaps my ass about this snow. And that is, our street has not been plowed yet. And I live on Capitol Hill in Ward 7. Y'all may recall that my lovely wife ran for city council here. And let me just say this as one of my biggest frustration in my 36 years of running campaigns. When I would go to my neighbors down the street, who are all well-intentioned white folks with multiple master's degrees, and say, my wife is running for city council. She's one of 10 Democrats. They're pretty much all 90% aligned on all the issues. So I'd like for you to vote for her because we live right over there across the street. And when it snows 2 foot, guess what? Our street's going to get plowed first. You want your city councilwoman in your neighborhood, for God's sakes. And they'd be like, well, we need to look at the issues and figure out who and what the different parameters are for all the different things and see how your wife stacks up against. I'm like, gosh damn it. She's the only one within a half a mile that's running that lives in our neighborhood. And I could not beat this through those people's heads to get them to understand how campaigns and politics works.
I think they knew what they were saying, Chuck. I think you do too. Well, welcome to it. That's government for you. That's being on the other side of the campaigns.
If she'd have got elected, I'd have bought single-handedly a snowplow and I'd have drove it around this neighborhood myself. Let me just put that out there.
The paint job you'd have put on that thing would have been beautiful too.
Ooh, it'd have had flames on it. Yeah. We'd have been playing war on big speakers on top. Dun 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 dun. That's why they didn't vote for it. Let me be clear.
Bullhorns on the top front of the snowplow. Yeah.
But there has been elections that we have won. And let's talk about this big thing that happened on Saturday. And for all of you nerds, yes, in Texas, we have special elections on Saturday. Guess why? Because the Republicans don't want a whole lot of people voting, but we have special elections in Texas on a Saturday. And oh my God, Mike Madrid, what an elections Democrats had in the 9th special election for the state Senate in Cowtown in Fort Worth, Texas, home of Billy Bob's and all the great Mexican burritos you can eat.
Well, they're not that great. It is Texas. The Mexican food ain't quite that good in Texas. But I'm going to say this. I have never seen a 51-point swing in vote behavior ever in 38, 36, 35 years. I forget how long I've been doing campaigns. The Hispanic precincts, the Latino precincts in Tarrant County, I didn't know there were Latino precincts in Tarrant County, but there they are, shifted 51 points, brother.
From just a year ago.
from just a year ago. And this is why, look, we'll talk about this. This dummy mander that the Texas Republicans decided that they were going to double down on is going to end up exploding in their face. You and I have been talking about it for a year. We were saying it when the maps first came out. This is all more proof that nothing was resilient about this Republican coalition. Now, to my Democratic friends, you are getting a second chance here. The door has been opened for you. You did nothing to do this. Do not make the same mistake you made in 2018. Do not make the same mistake thinking it's all about you and somehow Latinos love you or somehow they hate Donald Trump and the immigration raid so much that they're going to be with you forever, because they're not. You got something in politics you don't get very often, which is an own goal by the other side and just handing you the football right back. Don't drop it. Don't mess it up. So there it is. There's my I don't like both sides-ism. The Latino in me is coming out saying I don't like either of you. And that's kind of the point I wanted to make, which is if ever there was evidence that was required to say that Latinos are the only true swing vote in America today, it's the election results of 2025 and so far in 2026, which I expect will happen in the midterms as well, which is Latinos giving the middle finger to both sides. And I get brutalized on social media by pointing this stuff out, but I am glad, I am grateful that we are not reliant on one party, because we are the one true swing vote. And as soon as we start to define what our agenda is, the parties are going to start coming to us. Once our political leadership can get it through its head that we've got to start talking about what our community actually wants, then we're going to center up both parties. Things are going to change. Until then, we're going to keep playing this red, blue, Republican, Democrat, left, right game and get bounced around like a ping pong ball, back and forth, disrespected by one side and ignored by the other. Chuck, what did you see in Senate District 9 in Texas Saturday night?
Let's put a little, what my papa would say, let's put a little meat on the bone. And let me tell you a little story. Not about a man named Jed, poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. Not that story. A different story that I like for y'all who are laughing right now at home, who understands where that song is from. It's the Beverly Hillbillies, for God's sakes.
That's
anyway,
cool. Yeah.
The 9th special district. Let me start over. The 9th special state Senate district. Say that real quick. I haven't drank anything and it's early in the morning. The brother's name who won is named Taylor Remitt. Let's start with him.
Yeah.
Air Force veteran. Soft-spoken, not a Barack Obama changed the world, not a Jasmine Crockett, not a James Tallarico talking about the Bible, just a blue-collar, working-class guy who works at, these are all important things I'm going to tell you. This is where you should be taking notes. He works at the largest manufacturing facility in Fort Worth, which is where they make jet airplanes. Northrop Grumman, it's actually where they make the airplanes at there, and it's a machinist union as well. Mm-hmm. Lots of machinists work there. He's the president of the local union. Went over and fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. So let's think about it. Veteran, does that sound familiar, Ruben Gallego? Regular guy, not going to set you on fire when he talks to you. Union leader, probably a leader by nature. And from the district. Never really been involved that much other than local labor circles and community circles. I made a lot of calls in the last 48 hours into Fort Worth to make sure I could give y'all all the insight because I knew Mike would want this stuff. So they said, yeah, he was great, but he wasn't nothing special. Like, he's not Barack Obama. I keep saying that because folks are like, oh, there's Taylor. And I'm nothing against Taylor. He was the perfect candidate, and this is my point. These folks were looking for somebody normal. Now, keep in mind, he only spent about $1.7 million, him and all of the other PACs, while the Republicans spent, Mike, almost $19 million.
20 to 1 outspent. Unbelievable.
20 to 1. So that's Taylor. And I don't take nothing away from him. I just need y'all to know he was just a regular guy who worked in the factory there. Second of all, oh my God, there are Latinos in Fort Worth. Yes. Fort Worth is almost has 400,000 Latinos in Fort Worth. And Fort Worth is the largest city in Tarrant County. And this district takes in all of North Downtown, which is the old Mexican neighborhood. It's the stockyards for all of you who've been there. Billy Bob's. These immigrants came a long time ago. This ain't some newly growth thing. But what's happened is a lot of these Latinos, Mike's going to love all this research I did for him, second, third, fourth generations, have been able to move out of their mom and daddy's neighborhood, and they've moved north. But not so north that they're out of Tarrant County, but that they're outside the loop and outside of downtown. if you read Mike Madrid's book, it's the same story. He talks about his family who left LA, ended up in that county out there, still working class folks, but they moved. This is the same migration pattern of folks who work, probably have a good factory job, rotate, went there, then they moved out there. So this district has lots of Latinos and Latino heavy precincts. And what Mike was talking about were those downtown precincts that are like 90% Latino. So lots of Latinos. I found out this morning there's 1 million Latinos in Tarrant County. Wow. Now, they're not all in this district, but 400,000 in Fort Worth, 1 million in the county. Yep. And what a local Latino state rep who represents that downtown area told me this morning, shout out to State Rep Ramon Romero, he said that not only has Fort Worth gotten more Latino, Mike, but he said all the little towns that are kind of around downtown is where they moved to. They will still want to be in a town, but not downtown anymore, right? And he said that Fort Worth is the last big city before you get to the oil patch. For all of you who've been watching Landman, you're going to understand this because most of those big drilling companies, headquarters, are in Fort Worth because that's the last major city before you get out to the Permian Basin. So a lot of these Mexicans, again, U.S. citizens, second, third, fourth generation, work in the oil patch. And the oil patch is suffering right now. He said, the state rep's quote was, Donald Trump can say drill, baby, drill all he wants to, but there ain't nobody drilling shit and people are hurting because the oil industry has been hurt. And he said, not on top of that, he goes, the economics of everything getting more expensive. Their oil jobs are not what they used to be, if they still have one. And now ICE is picking up people on the streets. And he goes, and in Texas, the way they're doing it is not by raiding people like they're doing in Minnesota. He said the cops are pulling you over for anything. You get a broken taillight, the local cops in Texas obviously work with us a lot closer, and they're pulling everybody over and being way more aggressive than they've ever been before. And he said, you put all that together, to Mike Madrid's point, this wasn't some great messaging apparatus by the Democratic Party, who ran a fine campaign, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But this was Latinos, and he said white people in the suburbs were really pissed. And you combine these two for the perfect storm of what Mike Madrid said, and I'll stop, of a district that went 17 points for Donald Trump. They make that up and then win by 14. That means there was a 31-point swing in the overall electorate.
Crazy.
Mike talked about 50 points. That's just in the Latino precincts. And the last thing I'll say is in Texas, and I'll turn it over to you, Mike, is in redistricting, they were counting on two groups of people, suburban white people and Latinos. And in this race, both of them told them to go get fucked.
Yeah. And that was awesome. Thanks, Chuck, for doing that, the homework for it, sharing that with us. Look, the thing that struck me about this candidate is he is a blue collar machinist, union working man, veteran. He's like what Democrats used to be when I was growing up. You look at him, this guy's like a blue collar dude. He's what?
Chuck Rocha.
Yeah. Yes. He's old school. Like this is what a Democrat, what the old stereotype was. These are the guys that have been going MAGA for 10 years. And so it was good to see that demographic, profiled and highlighted. Like you said, he's just an aw shucks kind of guy. This guy's just a machinist. I want to say that it's candidate quality absolutely matters. Issues obviously matter. Everything that Chuck just said all matters. But guys, I want to really drive this point home. 31-point swing. This is one of the reddest Senate districts in Texas. It's got to be, right? An R+14. I mean, I'm sure there's some rural patches out there that are even more ruby red that are so red you can't really, the outcomes of those don't matter. When you move a Trump +14 district like that and win it by double digits, you're going into the MAGA bone. You're cutting into base there. It's not just a turnout problem. And I love this part. Let me add this part because when I was saying a lot of this stuff on social media, I was getting a lot of these armchair political consultants who never run a race in their life, but are really smart on Twitter going, oh, well, it's a lower turnout, blah, blah, blah. I'm old enough to remember when it was Republicans who used to benefit from low turnout. Now it's Republicans saying, oh, it's too low a turnout to tell us anything. The reality is the demographic that Republicans are relying on, as Chuck just mentioned, are those white suburbans. That's where you start to see some of that vote switching or that low turnout. But, and this is the critical piece here, it's the Latino males under 30. This was that piece of victory that the Republicans were hanging around like a trophy, trotting around after the 2024 election saying, we've cracked the code, we've got these guys. Folks, Democrats couldn't turn out young men, Latino men under 30 for 3 decades. They were never able to do it. And Republicans put their entire fortunes after one election on this same demographic and then hunt the community down and run the economy into the dirt and expect that somehow these guys are going to come and save them? Like, you're out of your mind. And that's what they're realizing. That's what I think the Republicans are hitting the panic button, because they should. This is what happens when you don't have the balls and the courage to stand up to bad stuff happening in your party when you know that it's bad, and you go along with it complicitly thinking it ain't going to happen to you. You start to lose strong, deep red Republican districts because your base is leaving you, not just this new base of Latinos that are supposed to be the new Republican majority, the new MAGA coalition. You're losing wealthy white suburban women in Fort Worth, who make a really good living in their family in the oil industry. This is money. This is a moneyed area. And these guys, that when that coalition comes together, when you get wealthy upper middle class suburban white women and working class Latino non-college educated dudes together, that's a coalition, guys. That's a coalition that is going to be really. Now I don't want to say it's a permanent coalition, because their anti-Republicanness, their anti-Trumpness right now is just a temporary allyship, but these people don't belong in the same place. And never are they in the same place without some trouble happening.
And as Mike Madrid would bring to light on Twitter for all of you, is that this is the formula that Republicans use to redraw the districts in the middle of a term where they think they can pick up 5 seats. And I'm not saying that we're going to have a 30-point swing in 26. I'm not saying we're going to have half of that. We're not going to have a 15-point swing. But girls and boys, if we have a 6-point swing based off of what we saw Saturday, so if we just did 6, not 31, I'm not getting crazy. But if you got 1/20th of that, you pick up all those seats that redrawn, because Latinos make the difference there in every one of those. And Mike's been saying that's what the quote unquote dummy mander he talked about was, right, Mike?
Yeah, Chuck, I think you could get to it. And I know this is going to sound nuts. I get it. I think you could get to a Democrat plus 11 scenario. I do. I mean, six is a big one. But look, the one common thread between what happened in Texas on Saturday night and Miami in December, in California, New Jersey, and Virginia in November, not a single poll picked up the intensity within 10 points.
What are midterms about?
What was that?
What are midterms about? Intensity.
It's intensity, man. And you look, nobody is weighting WEIGHTING. Nobody is weighting their polling right, because they're always overemphasizing these Republican coalitions and Republican constituencies because Trump overperforms and everybody's polling is off a little bit. So they're tipping the scale a little bit more to the Republicans to not embarrass themselves. Well, the same can happen in reverse when Trump's not on the ballot. In fact, that's what's been happening. So everybody's poll is skewing a little bit more Republican. So nobody's looking at Mikey Sherrill and Spanberger and saying, oh, they're going to win by 10 points. They're all saying, oh, they're going to win by 2-3 points, maybe. Right? That's what all the polling was saying. Nobody was saying this white progressive woman in Miami was going to beat the Latino male Cuban by double digits. Nobody was saying that. They're all saying 2 or 3 points. Oh, it's a nail biter, because they're all seeing the results and going, let's weight this a little bit differently and adjust it for turnout. Well, when only 75% of Republicans are saying they're excited about voting in the midterms, which is what most polling is saying, and it's like 92 with Democrats, the turnout model dramatically changes the results of what's happening. And that's why you're seeing these should be 50-50 races or slight edge to the Democrat going 15 points for Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, or a 31-point swing in a special election in Texas. And the environment is not getting better for Republicans. It's getting worse. The economy is not getting better for working class people. To your point, the oil patch is getting impacted. The working class people are suffering more now, and they blame Donald Trump because they should. It's his policies that are doing this.
There were a few more things I picked up in my research in the last couple of hours and days. As soon as this happened, I wanted to know why. Was there some extraordinary Latino turnout apparatus? Was there some new thing that was done that I didn't know about? I'll get to that. But the answer, not to bury the lead, is no. But a couple of things had some of my friends, the state rep and others, told me about, which is, Mike, this area outside of downtown Fort Worth, in places like Keller, white settlement, and I'll get to that in a minute, and other places, or where Republicans have come in for the last 10 years and brought lots of DC conservative MAGA money and tried to take over city councils and school boards. And they've done a good job at both. And they've done it through separating kids and saying they didn't want black and brown kids going to school with white kids. They didn't want them reading certain books. They didn't want any DEI. They didn't want any wokeism. Whatever you take from that, that's separated. And these are their words, not mine. A lot of this Republican bastion, all of these places outside of downtown are ruby red. They are white, rich folks who live in the suburbs, who've got all the strip malls they want and Whole Foods. Y'all have seen these areas all over California too.
Yeah.
But these people are not all MAGA. A quarter of them are, and they've been running roughshod over everybody else in these school board elections with spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to separate communities around kids and local government. And now folks are aggravated with that. They've seen it now over several cycles. When those school board elections, Mike, I'll remind all the listeners, we talked about this, in the school board elections just held last year, there was this big Democratic wave, even though they're nonpartisan races, where all of those guys lost. A lot of them did because folks were pissed. The state rep and others have said, make sure you know that this is not a one-time anomaly. This is kind of now starting to be the thing that happens after you do it over a long period of time. So you have Republicans that aren't happy, not all of them, but half of them. Then you have motivated Democrats. Then you have a Latino community who ain't with either one, but feel like they've been shit on all around. Mm-hmm. That's how you get a 50-point or 30-point swing, all depending if you're talking about the general electorate, or the Latino electorate. Mm-hmm. Let me make two more points, and I want your reaction to the school board stuff. Yeah. The second thing is, let's talk about turnout, to Mike's point. And that's a fair criticism for folks that says, this is a special election. They had it on a Saturday. Nobody votes in the special elections. True. In average, special election in Texas, and in most parts of the country, but in Texas for sure, I did this research, is about 12% is all the amount of people that show up, about 12% of the electorate. In this election, it jumped up to 18. Still, nowhere near midterm turnout. So when all of these things that me and Mike Madrid are talking about, it's fair for you, if you want to be a critic, to say there was this swing, absolutely 100% true, and this is the sentence that's missing, of the people that voted. But it also shows you, to Mike's point, that there's motivation for them to vote. Now, let's keep in mind this. There was 3 inches of ice on the ground on this Saturday in Texas. And what made me laugh is when Pete Sessions went on TV, a former Republican, and said, well, the Republicans didn't show up because there was ice and snow on the ground. And if you were following Chuck Roach's Twitter account, I was like, whoa, big boy. You're the son of bitches with the 4x4s. We drive a Prius and we showed up in bigger numbers. Give me a break.
The Prius in the snow is a big deal. I love the way Pete Sessions blames bad weather like it's only affecting the Republicans in that district.
And they're the ones with the monster trucks. We got a plug-in tricycle. Anyway, the last point I'll make, and I'll throw it back to Mike, is that there's literally a place called, I'm not making this up, Google it, called White Settlement.
What is that about,
Settlement
Chuck?
Is a suburb of Fort Worth. And White Settlement moved 25 points. Now, if White Settlement's moving 25 points and the Latino hood, where Albert Morales is from, is moving 51 points, then that's the coalition that Republicans are worried to hell about, Mike.
Yeah. And that's, boy, when White Settlement and Latino barrios are voting alike, it tells you that there is something very significant. And so, look, I should never, ever make, I've been burned so many times on predictions in my career, but I can't see anything other than the fundamentals pointing towards a bigger Democratic year than 2018, at least in the Democratic advantage in the model. Now, there has been a lot of redistricting since then. The 2020 redistricting carved up more partisan seats. We're all watching the shenanigans that have gone on nationally on both sides. So there's less seats to be picked up by either side. But if you're looking at a Democrat plus double-digit scenario, D plus 10, and I'm suggesting that that's very possible. You heard it here first.
Mike,
okay? I am saying
Mike,
yeah.
This is how you get from today. There's about 35, 40 races that we have in the marginal terms of what is swingable.
Yeah.
You've talked about a wave elections, and you've talked about 50 seats being in play. If 10, not 15 or 30, but if 10 is the marker, you add 25 more races to get to your scenario right now.
That's right. And I know people are going like, Mike, that's just crazy. Like, you've lost your mind. You've been doing this too long. Maybe I'm wrong. But if I look at the data, if I look at the results of what happened in the 2025 election and now this first election, this first special in 2026, tell me that I'm wrong. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be suddenly a dramatic Republican turnout that does come and save them. I don't know, but who is it going to be? It's not wealthy white women. They're bailing on you in white settlement. It ain't Latino, men under 30. They're bailing on you in these districts that are going even bigger than the white women are bailing on you. Like, who's going to come save you? Republicans. I don't know. And maybe that's what this election shenanigan bullshit that they're trying to do is all about. Probably is. I don't know. But what I will say is Donald Trump is polling at historic lows. And the only way you get to 36, 37% approvals is by cutting into MAGA. There are people in MAGA leaving. Are they leaving in hordes? No. Are they leaving in a 2 to 3 point frame? Yes. It's measurable. Everybody's polling is showing it. Yes, he's still at 85, 87, sometimes 90% approval with the Republican base. Great. But when you're losing 80% of independents and Democrats are spitting fire, pissed off, can't wait for the election to come, you're in trouble. You are in trouble, girl. You are in deep, deep trouble. And so it's time, I think, for Democrats to start going on offense and for Latinos to start defining a different and new agenda. I think that's really, really imperative because yes, the immigration stuff is having an impact. Yes, all of the social media stuff we're seeing on ICE is having an impact. Yes, they're hunting down and torturing our people. There's no question that is a motivating factor. But you've got to make a decision now. Are we just going to be against these guys the way we were in 2018 and take the L and start claiming victory? Or do we start giving people something to vote for? Because when we start giving some people something to vote for, man, you got a sustainable coalition that lasts a generation.
And if you go bold and you do something big, then you have people something to hang on to. And what Donald Trump did that was not that bold, but it was smart to say, we're going to make America great. Like we've been in the doldrums for too long. And like whatever that bullshit was, it works because people want something big that they haven't heard. Like what's a new economic agenda to make people's lives more affordable? Make sure folks can have some health care and that the government stays the hell out of their lives or whatever the thing is. Like they want something big. And on top of that, now that we all realize that immigration is a problem and we can all agree on it, we should just fucking fix it. Yep. On top of fixing the economy. Like this is the opportunity to do something big.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's just stand for something. Just being against things, it can win. But the frustration I have with Democrats, and look, I do blame the Democratic Party. I see in California, I see the Democratic Party getting all hopped up, Gavin Newsom, all excited about Prop 50. And let's go rig the system better than those guys. And let's fight fire with fire. If they gave half a shit of that much passion fighting for the Latinos, they wouldn't have lost them. They wouldn't be in this situation. When was the last time you saw Gavin Newsom give a stem winder about how passionate he was about fighting for working people and lifting them up and providing an economic agenda for them? You haven't, ever, never in his career. Doesn't even know how to do it. But if it's about taking on the Republicans and being the anti-Republican, they're all about it. They'll raise $1 gazillion from their billionaire, lefty donors. And good for them. Great. But you know what? That's what happens in 2024. When you don't deliver for working people, when you don't deliver for Latinos, they're going to sit it out, man. They don't love the Democrats. That's the lesson here is been given the second chance. You screwed it up. You screwed it up, guys. And these guys fumbled it on the 5-yard line. So don't return the favor. Start listening to what the community is telling you. Housing, healthcare, and hope. There's your message. Housing, healthcare, and hope. That's the Latino agenda. Start defining it in those terms. Housing, healthcare, and hope.
Woo! Housing, healthcare, and hope. If you hear Ruben Gallego say that next week, I'm not sending you an invoice.
Yeah.
Healthcare,
housing, healthcare, and hope. That's
Wait,
it.
I saw it.
Aspirational working class agenda is what's going to galvanize Latinos to start moving. The Hispanic agenda is housing, healthcare, and hope.
But I got a signal message, me and the defense secretary, the war secretary, all on the signals. Me and the Solidarity Signal chat, they sent me a TikTok this morning of Gavin Newsom in a Mexican bakery buying, what's that Spanish word? Pantarillas?
Pan dulce.
And hugging little Latina bakers. You don't think that's getting a vote for him? It's on TikTok.
Joe Biden going to the mariachi music at the restaurant. Sorry, give me heartburn again.
But I got that this morning. My team's like, here comes Gavin. Here he comes. He's having some pan dulce and hugging abuelas. Anyway.
And our people fall for that shit. Now, I don't mean our real people do. Our politicians fall for that shit. And they'll be out there acting the minstrel, playing the fool, acting like that shit works. Dancing behind them and putting on a sombrero. And
I still can't get past Republicans.
It's like, have some respect, guys. All you Latino politicians, and I know there's a lot of them. There's U.S. senators, members of Congress, a lot of state legislators listen to what I'm saying. Take Mike Madrid's advice for what it's worth, because none of you paying me, and that's fine, because I don't do this for.
We can't afford you. That's why we can't.
Have a little more self-respect. Have a little more self-respect. If that shit's gonna work for you, shame on you. Shame on you. Go get the pan dulce. Okay, get a concha from me. Great, little cafecito. Do your little thing, but damn it, demand some results. Have some respect for your people, for gente, for the community that you see being ignored until it's pan dulce time. Like, come on, guys.
I think we're going to see a lot of this.
I don't blame Gavin. I don't blame any more than I blame Trump. They're going to play this shit with us as long as we allow it. Like, you need to step up and say, you know what? Let's not go to the panaderia to play this minstrel bullshit. Let's go to a housing site where we're breaking ground on 800 new homes for working class folks to get them in there. Let's go there. Let's go talk about your solution to the healthcare problem that disproportionately impacts our community. How about that? How about we go to the public schools where our kids. Did you know I'm writing a piece on this, Chuck? Sorry, you got me all hopped up now with the Pondusa shit. 70% of Latino students in California need remedial writing and reading work at the Cal State University system. 70, not 17, brother. Let me say that again. To all of you listening to this, if you're driving your car, pull over, because this will give you a heart attack. 70% of Latino students graduating from high school, going into Cal State University system, 70% need remedial reading and arithmetic training. They can't read or write at the level that they're at. They're not
graduated high
graduation
school?
levels. What was that?
But they graduated high school?
But they graduated high school. What, are you going to blame Republicans for that? Like, shame on you. Latinos could change that by Tuesday if they wanted to, because there's more Latinos in the state legislature than there are Republicans. Who do you blame for that? Like, that's on us, guys. That's on us.
That's not a new problem. I'm 57 years old and I can't read and write that good, so maybe in Texas as well. But
all our kids are going to turn out like Chuck Rocha.
Jesus Lord, you got to have a lot of bullshit if you're going to make it over here if you can't read and write. I still can't believe Republicans are scared of the snow and the ice.
I'm scared.
That's the reason folks ain't showing up for special elections. Let me just say this, Mike Madrid.
Yeah.
And be clear. We all know, because one time I tried to run over you on the streets of D.C. I drive a monster Jeep. We all have seen it. You have seen it.
You've shown it to me.
Right. So from the day it snowed, I've been driving that thing around here like I own D.C. I'm the only one on the streets. I'm driving everywhere. So all you Republicans who were scared of the snow and ice, I've been driving around in 2 foot of it here in D.C. and just daring people to get in my way.
You need to put a plow on the front of that.
Oh, I'm ready. I said yesterday on CNN, and then we're going to get to this last piece. I said yesterday on CNN, because Donald Trump now is proposing having an F1 race in Washington, D.C. to celebrate the 250th anniversary of Washington. I said, I will vote to be in favor of that if they'll put a snowplow in the front of them damn things. Then we can talk about a race.
That's perfect.
I digress. If you're listening to this, maybe Andres and his team will have this up before the Super Bowl, but there's a chance it could be right after the Super Bowl. But we cannot finish the Latino Vote podcast without talking about the real Super Bowl, which is the halftime show.
Yeah.
And the bad rabbit who's going to be doing all the Puerto Rican singing he can at the Super Bowl, Mike Madrid.
Yeah. What was fun about going to D.C. too, the one bright spot was I got a call from the producer at CNN saying, hey, can you zoom in, do this hit on Bad Bunny? And I was like, hey, yeah, I'm right down the street, just by happenstance. So I got to go in with Sabrina Rodriguez, one of our friends, who's now one of the big politics reporters at the Wall Street Journal, and talked about Bad Bunny. Look, this is a big cultural moment. This is a big moment because this is just being. I wrote a piece on this just yesterday. Just being the politics of Bad Bunny, being Bad Bunny right now is a political statement. And what I love about him is he is defiantly Spanish only. We have had Latino artists on Super Bowl before. Gloria Estefan, Jennifer Lopez.
Woo, Jennifer
I know.
Lopez.
Ricky Martin, I think, has made a couple of appearances, but the only one, Shakira, the only one,
Living La Vida Rocha.
Living La Vida Rocha. That's gonna be the new intro song for the Latino Vote podcast.
Inside,
well, only one of them is defiantly Spanish only. The entire I love this, brother. The entire Super Bowl halftime show is going to be in Spanish. And half of the damn country is going to lose its MF in mind. The brains are
they
going
already
to
did,
blow
and
up.
they're going to have Kid Rock do an alternative one with the turning point.
And if there aren't two artists that personally exemplify the two Americas, one is Bad Bunny and one is Kid Rock. It's the best contrast ever. So I'm so looking forward to it. I want to have like a split screen. All of y'all who are going to have Super Bowl parties and you're planning on inviting Mike Madrid, I'm going to accept the invitation wherever you are. If you've got a split screen showing both Super Bowl halftime shows at the same time,
here's what we're going to do.
Because I want to see that. I want to see
that. We want all of you to take a picture of your Super Bowl party with Bad Bunny and drop it in the comments on YouTube, on Apple Podcast, wherever you're watching or streaming this. I want to see pictures of you and your friends. So many of my friends, including Adrian Carrasquillo up in New York and other proud Puerto Ricans, are having a Bad Bunny Super Bowl party. Like it's all Bad Bunny themed. Now, y'all should know Bad Bunny is very popular, but he's not just popular with Latinos. He's the #1 streamed artist in the world.
Yeah, not
what
Latino
the NFL
artist
is doing.
Not Latino artist.
You would say, well, why would the NFL, why would they not take the #1 streaming artist in the world when you want to expand football?
Exactly.
I'll let you know, some of us went to Madrid this year to watch a football game. Me and Ebony went right over there to Spain. We talked about it on this podcast.
Yeah.
If you want to grow your market share, anybody with economics 101, even if they graduated from Brownsboro, Texas, and they can't read and write, a la me, understands that thing.
Yeah.
And like I said on TV yesterday, the reason they could get Kid Rock because he's sitting around on the couch in Detroit, wasn't doing shit. It's like, I'll play a couple songs. Y'all need somebody? It's like night and day.
He's dating Lauren Boebert, by the way, which is hilarious. Kid Rock.
That little bitty girl?
Yeah, they're like a couple.
The one from the movie theater?
The one from the movie theater, yes, that would be the one. Look, there's no bigger cultural moment in America than the Super Bowl halftime show. It's the one thing where everybody in America joins in watching something entertaining at the same time. It doesn't matter whether you're a 65-year-old white guy out in Memphis, Tennessee, or whether you're a Latino guy in East LA or San Antonio, or whether you're whoever you are. The whole damn world's watching it, but certainly the United States of America. So this is a profound moment. It's not like other Latino artists. It's not like anything else that we've ever seen. And, a lot of questions came up. Mike, is he going to do something, because of the Grammy speech? Is he going to have a Stop ICE thing? Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. To me, it doesn't matter. Just the fact that he is there at this moment, a U.S. citizen, Puerto Rican by birth, Spanish-only artist, biggest one on the entire planet, meets all the demographic requirements for the NFL because that is the future. They know what they're doing, by the way. The NFL knows demographics better than any political consultant, and certainly better than the United States Congress or the White House. These guys, their whole living is on the future. That's why they're doing this, okay? The whole world is watching. Why not put the #1 artist in the world on? But most importantly, this is a reflection of where American culture is going, whether you like it or not. And Trumpism, MAGAism, is about trying to stop culture. It's trying to build a wall and prevent change. And you know what? You can't stop time. You can't stop change. You can't stop the future. That's the message. This is coming. Just being is an act of defiance. Just being Bad Bunny, being Latino in America right now is an act of defiance. For everything you just said about what was going on in Dallas and in Texas by being pulled over just because of who you are, that's America 2026. There couldn't be a better person, right place, right time, right moment. What do you, Chuck? What do you say?
I would ask all of you to, if you haven't listened to the New York Times Daily that talks about the career of Bad Bunny, I listened to it last weekend and actually learned some things. When he's so proud of his island and how badly his people on that island have been treated through colonization, through power outages, through crooked politicians. Bad Bunny, a la Mike Madrid, from all sides of the political spectrum, have really shit on his island to where he has had tours, worldwide tours, that he's canceled because he was worried about his people being targeted, his audience goers, to where he literally on his last album release did a residency in Puerto Rico where he said to the world, if you want to come see me and my music, you will come to this island and you will spend money in our economy, in our hotels, and in our restaurants to watch me play this music. And people went because he was defiant of what the rules would be for him when, and they talked about this in the New York Times piece that I found very moving, is that, and I think Mike kind of touched on this, is that most artists are scared and they would sell out in a minute. And the first thing they do is they start making albums in English to whatever that word is, to get along, to go along, right? But he's been defiant, to Mike's point, and not just to be defiant, because he is proud culturally of who he is and where he comes from, and he talks about it very openly. And he gives all the parties shit on his island about, I don't care who you are. He's like, I just need people to take care of people here and help us. You know, this is our island. It's our culture. And the culture has made New York City rich and made all these other things a rich cultural experience. And so what I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got to say. And I don't care. I think just him being there, I think he was a lot more free at the Emmys. I'm sure he's got a contract that says what he can and can't do at the Super Bowl, whether he gives a shit or not is up to him. But I'm going to be proud to watch him. Also proud to watch, as I was a Cuban-American quarterback in the national championship for Indiana. Me and Mike talk about the influence of our gente everywhere, but every year, every day, there's another Latino with blood that runs through our culture that's making a big impact on America as a whole. And the winning quarterback for the national championship is a Cuban-American whose family came from Cuba as refugees. And he got to live the American experience, right?
Yeah, his kid was playing, you know, low-level football for a long time, just through sheer will, leads Indiana to a national championship. I mean, look, guys, the beautiful part about this moment, as ugly as these dark, dark days are, is these bright spots are what's going to carry us forward. More and more Latinos, simply because of demographic change, are going to be driving the narrative of who we are as Americans. And that's the other part I really love about Bad Bunny, is he's proudly, defiantly American and says it. Yeah, I speak Spanish. Yeah, all my work is in Spanish. But you know what? I am no less American than anybody else. And he's not. And the fact that from his presence, from his perch, the fact that he refuses to become what everybody else wants him to become, and yet has 100,000% as legitimate acclaim as the descendants of those who came and signed the Constitution, is the most beautiful statement, the biggest rejection of the J.D. Vance blood and soil imagery of what America is. We are a creedal nation. That's a good word for you, Chuck. Creedal, which means we live by that creed that anybody can come and be fully American. And we've never really meant that, or at least not a lot of folks in this country have meant that. We've always said it as our mythology. But when we've had Senator Alex Padilla thrown on the ground, I guarantee it's because he's Latino. They weren't doing that to Mitch McConnell, right? That all of this stuff is happening because there's too many people who inherently do not believe the creed of what the United States is. And what we are doing as Latinos is forcing that discussion. And gente, let me just say this again, very directly. I'm a senator to Republicans and Democrats. You can't rely on either one of these parties to do the right thing. They're not going to. We have to do the right thing by our people, by our community, and then the parties will respond. That's the way. This idea that becoming, trying to change the Democratic Party, it ain't going to happen. By trying to change the Republican Party, it ain't going to happen. The failures of both parties are on full display. That's why our people are voting the way they're voting. They're behaving the way they're behaving. They're leaving the way that they're leaving. And the void that is missing is us. It's our political leadership. And we need to step up and move into a new chapter of Latino politics, where we are advocating on behalf of working class people, of poor people who need to challenge the orthodoxy of both parties. We need to build more housing, Democrats. We need to reform our education system, Democrats. We need to quit hunting people, Republicans. We need to stop with the silly business on the tariffs and protectionist policies, Republicans. Both sides are making damnable mistakes, and we've got to step up and start articulating it that way.
Some would say we need homes, healthcare, and hope. Andreas, this is where you bring in the Bad Bunny, big boy. And for all of you listening, I hope you had a great Super Bowl party. Hope you're still not hungover. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Go to the YouTubes. You would not believe how good I'm looking these days with this white beard straight from Africa. Mike Madrid, you can just not put a piece of blanket over that side of the TV. Like us, subscribe to us, and don't forget to call your mom if you're lucky enough, and go Seattle Seahawks. Woo!